All right, good morning. Actually, not afternoon. Good morning, everyone. So today is March 23rd, 2023. We are continuing our discussion of database systems administration. Sorry, database management systems. And today we're going to start talking about database development, kind of the idea of how to go about developing a database system for use. Okay, and it's going to include discussions of it's kind of gonna, well, let's say this, it'll kind of overlap if any of you have taken the software engineering course or have any kind of experience with things like software quality assurance or things like that. There's going to be some overlap there, but it's kind of more about kind of the idea of how to go about developing the database. So this isn't going to be a technical discussion. This is going to be a more theoretical discussion. So yeah, so there won't be like examples to show like in SQL and stuff like that. But it is still important that we understand these things. Okay, so first though, hopefully you guys know who this guy is. Albert Einstein brings us our quote today: to raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle requires creative imagination and marks real advance in science. Again, you guys probably know I like to live by ideas like this, that it's you know that I don't like to think of just one way of doing things, right? That I want you to be able to think of new questions, of new ways of doing things, to look at, well, let's say, I think one of the worst things that we can say is, well, that's the way it's always been done, so that's the way we do it. So always be trying to think of new ways to be able to solve old problems. Especially one of the things that I think about that in that regard is that I think sometimes what makes us afraid to do that is, what if it fails? And you guys know me, you guys have had me before. I'm okay with that. Like, I would rather try something new and possibly fail than live out of fear of what might happen if I don't try something new. All right, so and you guys know that I grade that way too, so yeah, so just be aware of that, right? All right. Oh, also, one thing I do want to say is I think we're well past due for a quiz 1 in this course. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have one on Wednesday. So make sure you know that, and I will give a quiz on Wednesday afternoon when our class meets during the class time. So make sure you are in attendance for that, and it won't be super difficult. If you've been following along with the course, then you should be able to do just fine. So don't live in fear of that either. All right. Okay. So this is kind of the outline of what we're going to be talking about today. There will include a slide or two about the main phases of database design. If you look at the slide titles, the slide set titles that are in the class materials folder, you'll see that there's actually slides with all of these titles on there: conceptual, logical, and physical design. That's because we're going to go into a more in-depth discussion of those topics individually later in the semester, but there are a couple of slides just kind of introducing things. So a lot of this slide set is more kind of broad overview of things that later we will go into in more detail. All right. So kind of why do we, and I guess maybe I should have used the whole Winston Churchill quote that I used yesterday, use it today, saved it, because it is about planning, right? It's about making a plan for how we're going to design our system. All right. So there's been a lot of issues with software development over the decades since software has been being developed. Again, this kind of overlaps with some topics in software engineering, and specifically software process in how to go about developing systems that many of you probably, if you're a second year student, you still kind of, if you're like me, when I was a second year student, a lot of my solutions to coding problems would be done using what's called an ad hoc process, and even an ad hoc process sometimes can be more systematic than the way us first and second year programmers, programming students develop things. But basically, ad hoc is we try to type up the code, and whenever we find problems, we try to fix them. Like, that's just kind of our plan for how to do it, right? And then, but what we found is that can really cause a lot of problems, especially if we don't find the faults, if we don't find errors, right? And so if our customer or our user finds them, that can be a big problem, right? And so because of that, the software projects that don't use a really good, well-defined process can become late because we end up finding errors in the last minute that we have to fix. We can become over budget if we have to go back and edit or change, especially if certain applications touch many other things, then maybe changes to those other things become required too. Unreliable, right? Difficult to maintain, perform poorly. Remember, one of the things that you guys who had me in the 101, 102 course will remember that I said about your code is that your code will be read a lot more than it's written. And so sometimes, especially if you have multiple programmers who have worked on a project over time, who have different ways of doing things, who have different, what we might call a software fingerprint. If I don't understand how you wrote your code and I'm trying to maintain it, it can be quite difficult. Right. So one of the things that this particular set of slides is going to be talking about is how to be able to minimize problems as a result of software development process. So by having a better plan and developing things in a better way. Okay. So some major reasons, and I can speak to these from experience, right? A lack of a complete requirement specification, especially if you allow for what's called requirements creep. Now, there are types of process that kind of allow for requirements to be added later or changed later, especially I think Scrum would allow for that if you know anything about, again, software process. But what can really derail a system if they use a more kind of systematic, a more structured waterfall type process where you do all your requirements. Let me go this way. You do all your requirements, then you do all your design, then you do all your construction, your coding, then you do all your testing. If that's kind of how your process works, then if you get down to construction or testing and you allow for your customer to come back in and say, hey, you know what, we need to add this requirement here. That can be a problem if there's not additional things like cost involved. A good I can't remember the position title we had that was the person that the go-between between programmers and customers. There was a special title for that position, but I can't remember what it is. Anyway, if someone that's doing a good job in there will make sure to let the customer know, if you're going to add requirements this late in the game, then we are going to have to charge you for that. That's going to be a cost involved, right? And so then the customer has to decide, are they willing to pay that cost? That is definitely part of it, but cost could be, we're going to have to delay the rollout. We're going to have to delay the next build or something like that. Could be a cost also if the customer is wanting their system more quickly. So then you let the customer decide, is is that requirement worth the delay or the cost that would be involved? Okay. You could also have a lack of appropriate development methodology. Again, we all have our different ways of writing code, right? And so you may think it should be done a certain way. Somebody else on the team may think it should be done a different way. If you guys, and even how things should be structured and organized and what tasks should come first, right? And that can cause problems if people don't have a structured, like, this is what we're going to do. Also, poor decomposition of the design into manageable components. Remember from 101, 102, what I said was any problem that can't be solved with one line of code is a problem that can be divided into smaller problems. Is that the go-between, William? Is that what you're talking about? No, it was it was more like, it was a more fancy business title. I may look it up at some point. Let's see. All right, poor decomposition. So remember, no, it's not project manager either. Project manager was somebody that was above all of us. But that could happen, definitely could happen. Anyway, remember, you can divide any problem that can't be solved with one line of code. You can divide it into smaller sub-problems, right? That each of those could be possibly solved with one line of code, right? Now, that doesn't mean that we have to get down to the one line of code level for everything, but if we have a big problem that really does need to be divided up into smaller problems for solving, and we just try to solve the big problem without dividing it up, like, we can end up with some problems in that situation. All right, let's see. Continuing on. I'm going to skip on this. So these are some of these are the phases of a life cycle of development. So specifically, database planning, system def, requirements collection and analysis. We'll talk about that some here today. The database design. Again, there's some specific slides related to that that we'll go over later in the semester, but we will overview that. DBMS selection will be part of that. Application design. Again, we are not focusing on that this semester, but I do expect you to know that your users have to interact with your database in some way, right? They have to be able to access the data and be able to manipulate the data in some way. So at least acknowledging that is important, and at least understanding how are we going to interact with our database is important. Data conversion and loading, and actually, actually interesting, these last the second to last item here, testing, and the third to last item, data conversion loading, were actually my first two jobs in software. So some of you know that my undergraduate degree, my licence, is actually not computer based. It's actually electrical engineering. But my introduction into a software company was as their tester. So and then my second job that I had with a different company was about data conversion from an old system into a new into our system, our database system, which was interesting because not all of their sites had data consistently stored. Some of it was stored as Excel spreadsheets. Some of it was stored as Microsoft Access databases. Some of it was stored as CSV files. It was a lot, right? And then we actually use a what was called it wasn't Oracle. We used no, that one was Sybase, I think, but it was Power Builder. Power Builder was our coding language, if you've ever heard of it. If you've ever used it, I'm very sorry. If you've ever heard of it, then you're probably one of the few. So anyway, but data conversion it can be an important part if we're wanting to update an existing system, and that's what that job was all about. That's what that company was all about. All right. So if we look at it visually, kind of how a flow chart might work. Again, this is probably hard to view on your screen. So what I would do is, if you want to know more about kind of how these different phases flow into one another, then what you can do is take these slides. They're all available on the class materials folder, and look at this more in depth, more closely. Okay. So database planning is what we're going to do first. We're going to first talk about what is our purpose of our database, right? So the very first thing we'll talk about in that will be even have nothing to do with technology really, is their mission statement. What is the mission statement of the project that we are, what are we going for? What is our purpose, right? Now the mission statement, it's helping to clarify the purpose of our project, right? And we want to know, because here's what a mission statement does for a company or an organization. A mission statement says, what are my tasks supposed to support, right? And everything I engage in as part of the company or the organization should somehow go back to that mission statement, should somehow be a part of accomplishing the mission that our organization is trying to accomplish. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about mission statements. So this is something I really love talking about. Not that. Where are you? Where did I put it? All right. So we're going to look up, what do you guys think the mission statement for Google is? Okay, so I'm going to pull it off of the screen so you can't see it. What do you guys think? What if you were, okay, the focus, the main idea, what is Google's purpose? And don't Google it. Don't Google Google's mission statement, right? Don't look it up. I want you to think on your own. What do you think Google's mission statement is? No one? Collect information. Okay, so a couple of examples. Collect information around the world and make it useful for users. Okay. Facilitate people's web search. Yeah. Okay, so it's about searching. So Metahan, you're kind of focusing on the search aspect. Let me collect information around the world and make it useful for users. So Nasima, you're kind of focusing on the collecting information. So not just being able to search for it, but actually getting it and having it. So Google wants to have the information. Okay. Any others? Others before I show these? All right. Let's see. Let's pull it over here. All right. So according to Google, their approach or their mission, their Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Okay, so how does Gmail work into that? Because Gmail is part of Google. How does Gmail work? I mean, is that part of the mission? Because I don't see anything about email in there. I don't see anything about contacting people and sending emails and stuff. How is Gmail part of their mission? Because remember what I said, it's everything of the mission, every task we engage in, every new product we put out, everything we do has to somehow connect back to the mission. So how does Gmail work into this? All right, email is stored. Right, making information accessible. Yeah, exactly. Is email part of the world's information? Yeah. Right. And one of the things that if you look at the way Gmail is structured too, you can tell that there is a lot of focus put on how to organize it, how to put it into, they don't even just have folders on Gmail, right? You have labels, not folders, right? And so if you want to have, so like my work email that I access through the Microsoft Mail app, right? I can put emails into folders, but I can't put the same email into two different folders, right? So I have to decide which one does this fit in? Which exact folder does this fit in? With Gmail, I can put a label, I can put multiple labels on the same email, so I can actually put it into two separate places, right? And so that's an organization aspect. That's something that Google has said, this is a way people would like their email to be organized. Right? Okay, we're going to look at a few. We're going to look at a number of them. So let's see, not that one. Okay, what about Amazon? What do you think Amazon's mission statement is? All right, so we're going to look at a few of these here. What do you think, Amazon? And be careful not to think about just Amazon as a place where you can buy products like a Hepsi Burda or something, right, to get more customers. That's it. We just want more customers. All right. But also consider that Amazon is also the leading service, not internet service provider, it's the web hosting, right? They're the largest web hosting company in the world with their AWS, Amazon Web Services. Right, yeah, they started as a bookseller, but they have a whole lot more now, right? All right, let's take a look. Okay. Amazon's mission is to be Earth's most customer-centric company. That's it. Now, there's more to that. Let me see. There was something else that's there was another one too I saw somewhere. Not Netflix. I don't want Netflix. What is this one? What am I thinking of? because there's more than just about being a customer-centric company. There's something else they say in there too that, let's see, serve customers through online and physical stores and focus on selection, price, and convenience. Oh, here, Earth's most customer-centric company, where customers can find and discover anything they might want to buy online, and endeavors to offer its customers the lowest possible prices. Okay, so think about some of the things that they do as part of your Amazon experience. When you go, if you ever log on to Amazon and try to order something, right? You don't just search for a computer or a phone or even non-tech stuff. You don't just sunglasses, right? Or clothing. When you go and you search for those things, they also do what? They also say customers who bought this also looked at this, right? They want to help you find and discover things you might want to buy, right? So it's not just about helping you buy things you want, it's about helping you think and discover things that you might want to buy, right? And so all of that stuff that many people get annoyed with, honestly, about the extra, like, oh yeah, well, yeah, customers who ordered this also ordered this, and so you start getting these targeted ads and stuff like that. But that is part of their stated mission statement, right? Their stated goal is to help you and me, but help you find and discover things you might want to buy. Okay. Let's come to this one second to last, right? Let's go to this one. Twitter. What about Twitter? What is Twitter's mission statement? What is their focus? What is their goal? Letting the sink in. I don't know that phrase. Is that like a authos?
Elon Musk carried a sink into the first day he went into the office.
I actually haven't kept up with a lot of the Elon stuff. Okay, share ideas and information immediately. Let's see. I think you might be pretty close, actually. Yeah. To give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. So I wonder if that's a relatively new thing. I don't know. But so yeah, so it's how to help people the power to create and share ideas. So they're a sharing platform, right? And it's about instantly too. So they're probably not going to have a great deal of things where they'll stop a post from going and then have to approve it, right? They probably will take down posts after the fact, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so this is their focus. They want to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information without barriers. All right. Two more. Oh, I clicked on it. All right. What about our university? What's our university's mission statement? So as soon as we do this one and one more, we'll as soon as we do this one and one more, we will take our break. But what's the university's mission statement? Okay. Educate minds to be productive part of the market. That sounds good. I like that. Do you think we have a mission statement? Do you think? What do you think came up when I searched in here? Let's see. Let's take a look. The mission and vision of Octanese University, determined to continue. Well, let's see. This is a little bit longer than. Determined to continue our work with the mission of providing education and scientific production at a universal level through high-quality academic programs, contributing to transformation of information technology, meeting the needs of society at the highest level in the fields of knowledge and technology, as well as artistic, social, cultural, and other areas. All right. So this is the mission of our university, right? So everything that we do should somehow be connecting back to this mission, right? Everything that we do, these are the online classes that we have, the in-person classes that we have, the research that the professors engage in, everything that's involved in what we do day to day should connect back to this mission statement in some way. Okay, let's do one more fun one, and then we'll take a break. And I'll make a few comments about these mission statements. But let's see. What about this one? What about TikTok? Right. So I'm not on it. To my knowledge, no one in my family is either. But I know probably some of you are, if not most of you. What do you think? What do you think TikTok's mission statement is? What's their focus? What's their goal? Collect data for CSE. Maybe so. Maybe so. All right, so we're running out of time, so let's go ahead and just take a look. Okay, mission is to inspire creativity and bring joy. So could be. I don't think they would. Maybe that's their non-public facing missions that you guys are talking about. All right. Basically, what TikTok says they want to do is inspire creativity and bring joy. So all the videos and all of the apps and all of it's all about bringing joy and inspiring creativity, right? So, or at least that's what they say. Right? One of the things I want to point out in these is I want you to notice how short these mission statements are. Okay, they don't have to be long. In fact, they shouldn't be long. Right? Really, your mission statement should not try to define. Google's mission statement said nothing about its products like Gmail, Google searching. It doesn't say anything about searching. It says that we want to make information easily accessible, right? But it doesn't say anything about searching. It doesn't say anything about Gmail. It doesn't say anything about Google Hangouts, which does that even exist anymore? I don't remember, right? But it doesn't say anything about Google Drive, right? It doesn't say anything about how to do that, right? TikTok, their mission statement says nothing about a phone app. It says nothing about cameras or videos, right? What was one of the other ones? Amazon. Amazon doesn't say anything about data centers or web services, right? But that's there, that they use that. Because remember, the mission statement is not about getting into the finer, small details of what we're doing. The mission statement is saying, what is our overall goal of what we want to focus on? Okay, and then all of those other things that we'll do, the email service, the web center, the Amazon Web Services, the app for TikTok, all that stuff, all of that is going to come as part of how we accomplish our mission. Okay. All right. So as you develop a mission statement for your group project, for example, right? Think about don't specifically think about the small details. Think about the large picture. What is your project intended to do? Okay. All right, guys. So I ran over a little bit, so it's 11:23, but we did start late too, so it's okay. We will come back at 11:35, and we'll continue our discussion from there. All right. See you guys in about 10 minutes.